As I drove down the narrow, winding road, the night enveloped me like a heavy blanket. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the landscape, illuminating the tall, swaying trees that loomed on either side of the asphalt. Shadows danced along the edges of the road, flickering in and out of sight as I passed beneath the flickering streetlights, their warm halos barely piercing the darkness. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and pine, a remnant of the rain that had fallen earlier in the evening. The only sound was the soft hum of my car's engine, mingling with the occasional rustle of leaves in the cool breeze. My heart raced slightly as I navigated the familiar path home, the solitude of the night amplifying my senses. It was a peaceful drive, yet a subtle unease lingered at the back of my mind, like an uninvited guest refusing to leave. Little did I know the tranquility of this quiet night would soon be shattered by a sight that would haunt me forever. As I rounded a sharp curve, my headlights caught something, or rather someone, stepping out onto the road. I slammed the brakes hard, tires screeching, heart punching against my ribs. The figure turned toward me, illuminated in full by the beam of my headlights. My breath froze. It was me. Same jacket, same hair, same confused, wide-eyed expression. I stared in disbelief as my double looked directly into my eyes, and then vanished. No sound, no footsteps, just gone, like smoke in the wind. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of what I had seen. Was I hallucinating from exhaustion? Was someone playing a sick joke? The peaceful night had turned into something twisted. I didn't know what I had seen, but I knew I couldn't just drive away and forget it. Something was wrong, very wrong. My heart still hammered as I slowly pressed the gas pedal, inching forward, eyes scanning the road like a hawk. The spot where I saw myself was now empty. No footprints, no movement, just the hum of the engine and the wind whispering through the trees. I glanced at the rearview mirror. Nothing. But something inside me twisted. That face, it was mine, down to the scar above the eyebrow I got when I was 10. It wasn't a trick of light. It wasn't a dream. I drove further but slower now. Every shadow looked alive. Every bend in the road seemed to hide something. I kept checking the rear view, half expecting my double to be sitting in the back seat, staring. Then my radio crackled. A burst of static, loud and violent, erupted from the speakers, though it had been off the whole time. I nearly swerved. The noise died just as suddenly. Silence returned, but now it was too quiet. Even the insects had stopped chirping. I pulled over to the side, trying to calm myself. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I looked up, and that's when I noticed the headlights in the distance, coming straight toward me. But I was the only one on this road. I had been the only one, and as the car drew closer, I realized it was my car, identical, same dents, same license plate, and inside, a silhouette behind the wheel, staring. Frozen in place, I couldn't tear my eyes away. As the identical car rolled to a stop directly in front of mine, the engine purred, just like mine. The headlights beamed through the windshield, but I couldn't see the driver's face, only a silhouette, unmoving, watching. Then the driver's door opened. Slowly, out stepped me. Same jacket, same hair, same confused, terrified expression. But something was off. The way it moved, too stiff, too deliberate. I jumped out of my car, backing away into the trees, heart thundering in my chest. My double turned its head toward me and smiled, but it wasn't my smile. It was wrong, too wide, too empty. "I knew you'd come," it whispered, even though its lips barely moved. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move, like the ground beneath me had turned to glue. The air thickened, like it was closing in. My vision blurred as the thing took a step closer. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just a look-alike. It wasn't human. It was replacing me. My breath returned in short, sharp gasps. I forced myself to move, grabbing a branch from the ground and stumbling backward into the woods. The thing, the other me, kept walking forward, mimicking every motion but with a slight delay, like a reflection out of sync. I remembered something. The car keys in my pocket, my real car, my real identity. I turned and bolted toward it, fumbling to unlock the door. Behind me, the imposter let out a screech. Not human, not even close. I dove into the driver's seat, started the engine, and hit the gas without looking back. The road twisted behind me like it didn't want to let me go, but I stayed focused, gripping the wheel, heart hammering. As I crossed the town border, the night seemed to exhale. The fog lifted. The air cleared. But in the rearview mirror, the road was gone. I made it home before sunrise, but something felt wrong. The air inside my house was unfamiliar, like someone had moved things half an inch out of place. I went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and froze. In the mirror, my reflection smiled. But I wasn't smiling. It tilted its head slowly, eyes narrowing like it knew something I didn't. I stumbled back, heart racing, and turned off the light. When I turned it back on, the reflection was gone. Now, every night since then, I wake up at 3:33 a.m., the exact time I saw myself on the road. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of movement in the mirror. Other times, it's me, standing still, watching. I don't know what crossed the road that night, but I'm starting to wonder, did I make it back at all? It was past midnight. The road stretched out like a shadowy ribbon through the countryside, lit only by John's weak headlights cutting through thick fog. Trees lined both sides, their gnarled branches scratching the wind like fingers on glass. The soft thrum of tires on wet asphalt was oddly comforting until it wasn't. The night felt heavy, still, like it was watching. John, 32, was exhausted from a late shift at the office. He had driven this road home hundreds of times, but tonight, something felt off. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was too perfect, too hollow. His hands tightened on the steering wheel as a chill crawled down his spine. He dared a glance at the passenger seat, even though he knew no one was there. But the feeling that he wasn't alone, that wouldn't leave him. He shook his head, trying to laugh it off. But the air in the car suddenly felt colder, just as John turned onto the final stretch of the highway, a narrow two-lane road flanked by tall pines. He heard it, a faint click, like a seatbelt fastening. His eyes snapped to the passenger seat, still empty. He laughed nervously, blaming his tired mind, and turned up the radio. But then he saw it, through the rearview mirror. For the briefest second, a reflection, a shape, a silhouette sitting where no one should be. He slammed the brakes, heart pounding. The road was empty. He turned around slowly. The seat was still vacant, but the air, it was freezing now, and something was off. His dashboard clock was blinking, resetting. He hadn't lost power. He hadn't touched anything. His breath caught in his throat. Something had changed, and suddenly, he wasn't sure he was alone anymore. John sat frozen, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight, his knuckles turned white. He stared at the passenger seat, eyes wide, chest rising and falling in quick, shallow breaths. There's nothing there, he told himself. You're tired. You're seeing things. But his body didn't believe it. A drop of cold sweat rolled down his temple. The air inside the car had shifted. Thicker, colder, like someone or something was breathing beside him. He looked again, still empty. Then why won't my heart stop racing? He reached for the ignition to start the car again. His fingers trembling. The moment the engine revved, the radio crackled on with static, then a faint whisper, a voice, a single word. Stop! John's blood ran cold. He hit the volume knob, turned it off. Silence. No cars, no wind, just him, or so he hoped. His foot hovered over the gas pedal. Do I stay? Do I run? But before he could move, something brushed the back of his neck. He wasn't alone. John couldn't breathe. The air inside the car had gone ice cold. Every hair on his body stood up as invisible fingers traced slowly down his spine. His vision blurred for a second, then snapped back as the passenger seat creaked. The seatbelt was pulling itself tight. Click, strap locked in, as if someone had just sat down. "No," John whispered, his voice barely audible. "This can't be happening." He didn't dare turn his head, but in the corner of his eye, just a flicker, he saw movement. A pale silhouette, long hair, hollow eyes staring straight ahead. "Drive," it whispered. Software, cold, dead. John's instincts screamed at him to run, to get out, but his body was frozen in place. He couldn't even blink. "Drive," the voice repeated, this time sharper. His hand moved on its own. Gear shifted, foot pressed the gas. The car sped down the road, but it felt like they were going deeper into something else. The trees looked unfamiliar. The road stretched longer. The lights of his town were gone. Then the girl turned her head, just slightly, and spoke. "You shouldn't have stopped." And in that instant, John realized he was no longer in his world. John gripped the wheel, heart pounding, every nerve screaming to wake up from this nightmare. The girl beside him didn't move, just stared ahead, silent now. He remembered his grandfather's words from childhood. "If the dead find you, you must return what isn't yours." With trembling hands, he reached into his glove compartment, the old silver locket he'd found near the woods last week, the same spot where he'd first heard crying. He held it out. "Is this yours?" The girl slowly turned, her face twisted in sorrow, not rage. She took the locket, clutched it to her chest, and vanished. The seatbelt snapped open. The temperature rose. The road ahead looked normal again. But John couldn't forget what just happened, or how close he came to never coming back. He hit the brakes, breathing hard, and swore to never drive that road after midnight again. A week passed. John tried to return to normal, work, friends, sleep. But every night, as soon as the clock struck 12:15, his bedroom would turn ice cold. The air grew still, and he would hear it, the click of a seatbelt, right beside his bed. He threw the locket into the river, burned sage, spoke to a priest, but nothing stopped it. One night, desperate, he set up a camera across from his bed. The next morning, he played the footage. At 12:16 a.m., the screen flickered, and a blurry figure appeared, sitting in the chair beside him, staring, then leaning closer, closer, until her face was just inches from the lens. And the screen went black. John never shared the footage, but he never slept in the dark again, and still. Every night, the seatbelt clicks.